There are four states that if you talk to people in Trump world outside the seven, they would say we have a chance to win. One would be New Mexico, where I last Monday said Trump would go to Albuquerque, and now he is. One is Virginia, where Sean lives, where Trump is going on Saturday after he goes to the Penn State game against the Ohio State. One is Minnesota, that since George Bush in 2000, the Republicans have had this fantasy that they're going to win Minnesota. And one is the state where Michael Graham lives. And Michael Graham joins us now with the results of a new poll, which countered most polling, including other recent polls, some other recent polls, shows New Hampshire not only close, but Michael actually has. Who's leading in your poll, Michael?
Believe it or not, in a state that Democrats have carried 7 of the last 8 times, the Granite State, Donald Trump has a massive 50.2 to 49.8 lead. So
you and I have been in colloquy for weeks, ever since Kamala Harris did an event in New Hampshire. And the Harris campaign told me absolutely has nothing to do with worry about whether she'll win New Hampshire. Then Joe Biden went to New Hampshire last week. Again, nothing to do with that. So tell us about what you think is actually going on in terms of your poll and facts on the ground.
So a month ago, New Hampshire Journal would not have published this poll. I'd have gone back to our pollster, which is Jonathan Klingler down at Mississippi State University, and said, there's no way. But a month ago, the polling, St. Anselm and others had Trump losing by about 6.5. And if you told me, and then last Thursday, Emerson came out and Trump was 50-47, losing by 3, margin of error. And then I, of course, every day tune in to the morning meeting, and I heard your reporting on this. I heard Sean's reporting, and I got the numbers, and I was stunned. And we went back. In fact, they dropped 100 samples and picked up another new 100 to test it. And this is where they were. And I said, let's go with it. And I think the two things that are moving in these purpley states. The big one is Kamala Harris is failing the audition for the job. She's just failing it. And the other one is, I think you guys have picked up on these subterranean issues that are having effects that people aren't looking at, like these fight over trans issues, guys and girls sports. New Hampshire is kind of ground zero for that. We've had a couple of high profile cases. There's a lawsuit, there's a new law. So you put all that together. And if you said to me, I'll put it this way. If you said Trump's going to lose New Hampshire by 10, I would not be stunned. If you told me Trump was going to win New Hampshire by 1, I would not be stunned.
Sean, question for Michael?
No.
No. Well, let me add just one more data point, which is we have the most contested governor's race in New Hampshire in the country. Republican Kelly Ayotte, former U.S. Senator, former Manchester Mayor Joyce Craig, the Democrat. And it has consistently been a 3 or 4 point lead for the Republican, despite everything else. No competitive congressional races. Those are both going to be easy wins for the Democrats. You know, nothing else going on. She's this island of Republicanism to succeed Governor Chris Sununu. We also have her winning 52-48. But I also think it's interesting that the generic ballot, if you look at our poll and at the other polls, the generic ballot in New Hampshire is tracking Ayotte, not Trump. Trump is consistently under polling the generic ballot. What that tells me is that there are these places like Governor Youngkin in Virginia where the state feel is very different. The national brand for Republicans is terrible in New England. You get north of New York and it's just terrible. But the state brand is still holding. And that seems to be the story for New Hampshire at the state level. And the question is, can kind of in a reverse effect, can they pull in enough people to go, you know, Kamala stinks. Trump, he's a nut, but the things were better. And does that either get Trump close or even, holy crap, pull off a end of the Commanders game yesterday event in New Hampshire?
So if Trump loses, people are going to second guess his decisions to spend time in Albuquerque and in Virginia. He loves New Hampshire. It's the first state he won ever in politics.
Yes, he does.
Shouldn't we all be predicting that Trump's going to go do an event in New Hampshire? And if he does, will Kelly Ayotte campaign with him?
So I have heard repeatedly from people who want him to come, he's going to come. And I've heard from the people who know what they're talking about, not going to come. His thing is battened down. And one of the reasons he's not going to come, I think, this is Michael Graham's personal opinion, is that the Kelly Ayotte people are like warning that they're going to have the Israeli missiles shoot him out of the sky if he gets north of Boston. I mean, they know they are in a tenuous hold in a state where, once again, the Republican brand, it's like, you know, I'm originally from South Carolina. Democrats just lost the South. It's a brand thing. It's not bad candidates. Same thing up here.
So Ayotte doesn't want him. She's busy that day. If he
I'm
comes.
not saying that. I know that. I'm saying that
Yeah.
would be my speculation
Yeah.
as a guy
All
who's
right.
here on the
Well,
ground.
just
All right.
remember,
All right.
part of this is by not going, right? And this, we've seen this before
Mm-hmm.
in races where you don't want to wake the sleeping bear. So right now,
Right.
you don't have money running on Boston TV.
Mhm.
You sort of run it on the ground. You hope that you pick up a win by door knocking, whatever. But I will just say this. I have spent a lot of time still in New England, and I will tell you that there is the working men and women of where I've been the last several months. You
Right.
get into an Uber, you go to a restaurant, and I'll tell you, they might not have been Trump voters in 2016, but they're pissed. Sometimes it's cultural issues, sometimes it's economic issues, and they're like, you know what? They'll see me, they'll say, hey, by the way, I'm voting for your guy this time. I think
All
that
right.
working men and women are pissed off all over the country, but in New England, there's sort of maybe not, to Michael's point, they might not have been Trump guys in 2016, maybe not even 2020, but there's something that's just pushed them over the line this time.